My mic was muted. I'm PJ. This is Boatrek Live. Today we're going to be looking at an article from TrekMovie.com. It's an interesting one. Screenwriter reveals details for Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek Gangster movie. It was published on August 9th. Starting in late 2017, buzz began for a Star Trek movie in development based on a pitch from Quentin Tarantino. Paramount was excited about the idea, and Trek vets from Patrick Stewart to William Shatner were expressing their hopes to be part of it. But by early 2020, the idea seemed to be losing steam as Tarantino indicated he likely wouldn't be signing on to direct, leaving it another unproduced yet fascinating Star Trek project. Only a few details on the film have come out, but screenwriter Mark L. Smith, who wrote the script with Tarantino, revealed a lot more in a podcast released earlier this year that had escaped our attention until now. Gangsters and time travel. It was a bit of a surprise when the revenant screenwriter Mark L. Smith was tapped to pen the screenplay for Tarantino's Trek pitch. He wasn't known for science fiction and had never worked with Tarantino, who tends to write his own movies himself. As a guest on an April episode of the Bulletproof Screenwriting podcast, Smith explained how it all came together, and in doing so also confirmed a rumored plot connection to classic Star Trek. Now, this is where we get the confirmation that that the movie was going to be based on a piece of the action. So, Mark says, "It was through J.J. Abrams, through Bad Robot. I've done a few things with them, so they always bring me stuff, but Tarantino, he wanted to do this. And so we all gathered in a room and we talked about the ways in. After that, they just called me and said, 'Hey, are you up for it? Do you want to go? Quentin wants to hook up.' And I said, 'Yeah.' And that was the first day I met Quentin in a room, and he's reading a scene that he wrote, and it was this awesome, cool gangster scene, and he's acting it out back and forth. I told him I was so mad I didn't record it on my phone. It would have been so valuable. He was amazing. Then he just started working, and I would go hang out at his house one night, and we would watch old gangster films, and we were there for hours. We were just kicking back, watching gangster films, laughing at the bad dialogue, but talking about how it would bleed into what we wanted to do." Somebody's here watching this late at night. Earl Grey Trekkie, how's it going? Yeah, I'm trying to read this article as fast as I can, but I don't know. Am I going too fast? Yeah, I just saw this article like an hour ago. I was like, oh my God, I got to talk about this because I thought this was completely dead in the water. So anyway, let's continue. This comment about a gangster connection appears to confirm that Tarantino's idea is tied to the classic Star Trek episode A Piece of the Action, which featured the USS Enterprise visiting a planet of aliens who would form their society around Chicago gangsters. By the way, check out Starfleet Boys' discussion about this TOS episode, which they did recently. Smith had previously confirmed that Kirk would be in the film, but during the podcast he indicated that it would include additional familiar faces, but the movie would not necessarily connect with the Star Trek universe. He said, "Kirk's in it, we've got him, all the characters are there, it would be those guys. I guess you would look at it like all the episodes of the show didn't really connect, so this would be almost its own episode, a very cool episode. There's a little time travel stuff going on, but there's all this other... it's really wild. Still a chance." And Tarantino said for years that he plans to direct only 10 films. After the release of his 9th film in 2019, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he said he was steering away from the Star Trek project. Since that time, Paramount has moved on with a Star Trek movie planned for the summer of 2023 to be directed by WandaVision's Matt Shakman, based on a script co-written by Captain Marvel's Geneva Robertson, Dwart Doret. Paramount and J.J. Abrams have also commissioned a script from Discovery writer Kalinda Vasquez. Smith has not given up his hope for his Star Trek movie and says it all comes down to Tarantino revealing a loophole for his 10 movie limit. I give a 10% chance if it ever gets made. Personally, I give it like a 5. Okay, but anyway, it's one of those things that's so tricky for him to do, but if he really wants to do it. But if he really wants to do it, he's got to wait. Sorry. I give it a 10% chance if it ever gets made. It's one of those things that's so tricky for him to do, but if he really wants to, he's got this set limit he puts on. He tells me, well, I can say it's not an original, so it won't count against my 10. I would love for that to happen. My God, I would be thrilled for it to happen. Fingers crossed that he will get so bored that he's going to do it. Having Quentin Tarantino make an R-rated Star Trek movie that may not exactly fit in with the rest of the movies may seem like an unusual choice for Paramount. And Smith agreed, but he pointed out that Tarantino is a unique filmmaker that can make the studio open to doing something different. Guys like Quentin can do stuff the rest of us can't, so they're going to trust him because they know what they're going to get is going to be something that's going to be talked about for years. And it was. The script, it is so Tarantino. It's hard R and it's violent. It's got all these great elements. And I guess Paramount has done different things and kind of veered back on Star Trek. They probably feel like Tarantino is worth being able to veer off the path and always come back. With him and J.J. Abrams. Tarantino's unique take in handling the sci-fi. The Bulletproof Screenwriting Podcast is focused on the craft of writing, and at another point in the pod, Smith talked about writing dialogue that avoids too much exposition and uses his collaboration with Tarantino as an example. So Quentin and I are working on Star Trek together, and he's writing this dialogue scene I've written. And when he writes it, it's like, oh my God, I thought I didn't want to be straightforward with anything, so I'm kind of flowing over here. And then he does this thing, which is now 5 pages longer than my scene was, and he's going all out over here, and he's touching on stuff that's way over here, and then comes back over. Okay. And it was just beautiful. It was just so wonderful and so funny. Again, you were talking about somebody that just sees stuff not like normal humans. And I say that with reverence. He's really good at not just being straightforward. He's at not just being straightforward with anything. That, to me, is it. You want to take your time. Don't rush to feed information. Don't just deliver information through exposition. You want to have conversations and just let the stuff come out in the conversation. Smith also revealed that Tarantino was in charge of the sci-fi elements. Whoa. I've always kind of stayed away from sci-fi. I don't love writing technology. I've always found if I bring it into story, I use it as a cheat. I want people to have to deal with their own emotions and their own conflicts and their own stuff, and I don't want to have to be able to use technology to get in and out of stuff. I know other great writers smarter than me can use it well. Like even on Star Trek, whenever I told Quentin, I'm not a Star Trek guy, I'm not a big sci-fi guy. I know the characters and I like the relationships and I know about it. But he goes, don't worry about that. I'll take care of all the big sci-fi stuff and everything. So you kind of just find what you know and write what you know. For now, Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek can be filed with other unproduced Star Trek projects, as it seems unlikely Paramount would move forward with him without him agreeing to direct. But there does seem to be a chance it can be made, even with Tarantino's self-imposed movie limit. And doing a movie that may not fit with the other Star Trek films being developed by Paramount can still work. Warner Brothers has had success with this approach for their DC movies like Joker. After Paramount gets the franchise going again in 2023, it's possible for one-off standalone movies to be part of the mix. Check out Bulletproof Screenwriting.tv for the full interview. Earl Grey Trekkie says, I suppose it could be okay, but it can't just be a gangster story, in my opinion. Yeah, it's hard to imagine the movie itself. I mean, I don't know. They already have one coming in 2023. Let's see what that's like, and whatever kind of weird offshoots they decide to do with uh, other directors. Certainly, they know that if they get Quentin Tarantino on board to direct a Star Trek film, it would create a lot of buzz, maybe some controversy, even, no doubt. But it will make many people aware of the next Star Trek movie that otherwise wouldn't pay much attention or care. And for all the rabid, real hardcore Tarantino fans who may not even like Star Trek, maybe, not everybody does, but it would bring in those people. But I mean, hard R, you're kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it will ever happen, much like the Section 31 show. But let's just worry about the immediate future. Like, we've got 5 Star Trek shows, and we have a movie in 2023. So let's hear more about this 2023 movie. Give us some details on that. I mean, come on. Once they start casting, I suppose. But who knows what the future will bring for Star Trek? It's kind of all up in the air. We don't really know how the movies and the TV will jive together. Will there be some coordination? Will they be competing elements, even though they're now under the same umbrella? But only time will tell, really. And it is getting a little tiresome hearing about like this potential Trek movie and that potential Trek movie, and even this one that's apparently coming out in 2023. Like, I don't have complete faith that even that will happen. So right now it's just like Lower Decks is coming out this week. Perfect. About 50 hours from now, it will debut on Crave here in Canada. And I just can't goddamn wait for that. So, look forward to my reviews on that, because they're going to be spectacular, using no imagery whatsoever and no visual references, just me talking about the episode after I see it. Isn't that exciting? Also, Saturday nights, weekly, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, DS9 watch-alongs with folks like Starfleet Boy and others that you will see pop on there in the future. Like maybe you, Earl Grey Trekkie. Until next time, folks, live long and prosper, and please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for listening to me read an article from trekmovie.com and ramble about it.